Welcome my fellow VR nerds, this is Eyes on VR where we talk all things Oculus Quest, we talk all things VR shooters, we talk about gun stocks and we even slip some news and updates in there too. Today we are going to talk about what must be one of the most popular shooters in VR in general, whether you're PCVR, you're on the Quest, it's Pavlov Shack.
Good shot! Nice shot!
That's the power of the revolver right here. That's the power of a revolver, baby.
Revolver! Then they'll teach you how to make the best sushi ever. Okay. Okay, first, you need your lovely specimen, as you do. First, you need to cut it. The goosey cash. Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna kill that cat real quick, alright? Okay. Jeep. Alright, that poop game, definitely. I'm gonna play Russian roulette now. You wanna play? Whoa, no! Don't do it. He pulled the grenade, run. He pulled the grenade! Oh, alright. Wow. You actually... What the...
So Pavlov Shack is a VR shooter. Now we all know what a VR shooter is, especially if you're already here. But if you don't, check out the footage in this review and you will see exactly what a VR shooter is. It will become clear very quickly. If not, why don't you go have a look at what has somehow become a really successful video for such a small channel, my contractor's review, which is up here. And you will see exactly what a VR shooter looks like, and then you can come back here, finish up, and see if you want to get hold of Pavlov Shack. My point is, I'm not going to be covering all the stuff that makes Pavlov the same. I'm going to do what I do on this channel, and I'm going to talk about what makes this game unique. And with Pavlov, that's only a couple of things, but those things are massive and exactly what makes it such a popular game as well. The most popular game modes that you don't get anywhere else. And so, my fellow VR nerds, let's jump into it. The irony about this is there's actually no sniper rifle scopes in this game. What kind of shooter is Pavlov and Pavlov Shack? Now, when I say Pavlov, I mean the PCVR version. When I say Pavlov Shack, I mean on the Quest and the Quest 2. They're made by the same people, so it is the same game. Obviously, the Quest is missing some features of Steam VR, but that is also in beta as well. Okay, so Pavlov Shack is available for free on sidequest. It's still in beta, but you can just go download that, put it on your Quest, sideload it in, and off you go. No problem, easy peasy, just like contractors. So to get started in Pavlov Shack, exactly the same as I said in my zombies video, just click online. It'll bring up a server browser with every game going. You can filter by what type of game that you want. Click a server, click join, boom, you're off. If you want to play offline, you can do that as well. You can just click offline. It'll give you the option to play zombies on your own offline. If you're feeling brave, you can go to the kill house, which is kind of like their shooting course. And you can also go to the shooting range, which will give you access to every weapon in the game on racks on the wall, which, by the way, is absolutely a beautiful thing to see. You can take them off the wall, fix attachments, whatever you like, shoot down range and just see what everything feels like and get to grips with the weapons and how they work. So we need to discuss what kind of game Pavlov Shack is. This game, it's for messing around. I'll be honest with you. This is if you want to jump into a VR shooter and keep things light and have a laugh, basically. You want to join in with your friends and have a good time, have a bit of a giggle. This is perfect game for that. This really doesn't attract an audience of serious VR shooters. I know in the advertising, the developers claim they have a competitive search and destroy mode a la Counter-Strike, and whilst I have seen some people get very into that and play it very competently and very well and very professionally, those are people normally of my age that have played Counter-Strike from back in the day and take that seriously, but it's a rare occurrence that I've seen, if I'm quite honest. Most of the time it's just people having a laugh. But there is something to be said for search and destroy, bringing each team together with a common objective for them to take it a bit more seriously. But when we're talking zombie mode, we're talking TTT mode. It's all laughs, it's all giggle. Now, of course, like any VR shooter, you can change various settings in the settings menu. I would advise doing what I do the first time I fire up any game, and that is check that your direction of movement is locked to your sight and not where your arms are facing. I find it really strange that anyone would want to be moving in VR in an opposite direction of where their head is facing when they're trying to move forward. Now, if you don't know what a VR shooter is, like I said, stick around for the rest of the video and you'll soon get a very quick idea of what a VR shooter is like. And if you go through the channel, basically all my videos are on VR shooters, so there's lots to see here and lots to take a look at. But first, we're going to introduce a new section to the channel that I'm going to do with all shooters here, and that is the Realism Review! Where basically we're just going to check the realism of guns in these VR shooters, from are there bullets in the magazine, can you have one in the chamber and still fire, do the weapons react to the walls and the physics within the game. And just a quick little look to see how they treat the guns in this game, because we do love our guns here on Eyes on VR. The arsenal in this game is large. You've got a lot of different variety of weapons, some that you don't find in other games, and one very big beauty here, by which I mean the 50 caliber sniper rifle. You have to reload this baby after every shot because it's just too much of an animal. Now the only downside here is you don't have any sniper scopes, so it's not exactly the best for sniping, but I have to say I have seen some eagle-eyed people take shots with this thing from one end of a map to another just with an AUG scope or a red dot sight and still land that headshot.
Oh my god!
Bear in mind this game is in beta and there is no way they are going to release a game with a 50 caliber sniper rifle in VR without sniper scopes coming with that full release. And before we go any further, you need to take all my criticisms with a grain of salt because this is in beta, so anything I mentioned could be patched. It could not be patched, but we would hope that a lot of things would be patched. Now this next feature is something that normally gets overlooked in other VR shooters, if not entirely, but I always make a mention of it. And one of the great features of Pavlov Shack is that you can dual wield weapons. Now in Onward, you can't dual wield, even though Onward's all about realism and you can dual wield in real life, but you can't do it. It cannot be done. I've tried, friends have tried, I've seen many people try. You cannot do it in Onward. In Contractors, you can dual wield, but the circumstances to get there have to be very, very specific and are quite rare. If you're fighting against AI in the start hub area, a lot of them use pistols, so it's no problem to kill one, pick up their pistol and start dual wielding. But to do it actually in a multiplayer level, so many circumstances have to line up. One, somebody has to have the balls to actually be using their pistol to start with, or be out of ammo, so they have to use their pistol. Two, you have to kill them while they're holding that pistol. Three, that pistol and their body has to not despawn by the time that you find them to pick it up. So that's more hassle than it's worth, really, when it comes to getting all those circumstances to line up. But in Pavlov Shack, the opportunity to dual wield comes up quite a lot. You can just pick up another pistol and go John Woo style all over town in this game. And you do see it a lot more often, especially in zombies. Now, I did a full in-depth review of Pavlov Shack Zombies, which you can find up here, but I will just mention that in the second wave or so of the Zombies mode, you get a crate of pistols. You start with a 9mm, and then you get given more pistols. The first thing you're going to do is pick up 2 pistols and go to town with dual wielding, and you do. You see it in every single game, and everybody does it. So it's not a rare occurrence in Pavlov like it is in other games. Even in multiplayer, you see it as well, especially in TTT mode, which we will get to later on in the video. The same thing happens. Crates appear with weapons on, and people end up with dual pistols, dual rifles, dual shotguns, dual everything. Whilst you don't see it a lot in Pavlov, in your search and destroy, in your team deathmatch, etc., again, this is just something you see a lot more in this game over other VR shooters on the Oculus Quest. There is something about Pavlov that I do like, and that is the control scheme. In Onward, for example, you use the grip button for everything. You use the grip button to grab grenades, grab magazines, grab your knife, grab your radio, grab magazines out of your gun. It's all the same button on your non-dominant hand. In Pavlov, you use the non-dominant hand trigger for your magazines. You use the grip button for everything else. So you use the grip button for grenades, for health, for your knife, etc. You only use the non-dominant hand trigger for magazines. So you know when you put your hand down to your side to grab a magazine and press the trigger and pull it back up, you don't need to look because all you're going to do is grab a magazine. In games like Onward, when you put your grip down there and look away, and therefore you press the grip button, you've popped out your magazine, you're about to put a new one in, and it turns out you've got a knife you're trying to put in your magazine slot or a grenade. So I really appreciate this control scheme. It makes things a lot more intuitive, and I think that is a fantastic feature of Pavlov. And Contractors is the same, and I cannot argue with that control scheme at all. I think it is absolutely brilliant.
There's just something I forgot to mention. Whenever you pull back a bolt on a bolt-action rifle, or pull or insert a magazine from your weapon, for some reason it is the daintiest animation I have ever seen. Normally you would pull a bolt back, maybe with your entire clenched hand, but not in this game. You use your finger and your thumb. When you pull out a magazine, especially from an AK, you would use your full hand, but not in this game. You use 2 fingers and a thumb.
If Onward is your Rainbow Six Siege and Contractors is a mix of Rainbow Six Siege and Call of Duty, Pavlov Shack all day long is Counter-Strike. It's got your search and destroy mode, which is exactly in the vein of Counter-Strike. The game even makes a point of saying how it does competitive search and destroy. And that is how esports really began. The first person genre, the original Counter-Strike. That's what started esports. And all the esports you see now, this is what began it. And that is in the same vein and the same genre. And they are showing respect to the origins of that. So I just wanted to give that a quick mention. Now, one of the very Counter-Strike inspired unique features of this game here is also how you obtain your weapons at the beginning of each round with currency you begin with and have earned through surviving and killing enemies in previous rounds. So when you start, you have nothing. You open up a menu that comes up on your hand here, and you can select around the different categories of weapons to see what it is that you want. Now, you can see how much money you've got in the corner here. And when you go through the different menus, it tells you how much everything costs. And believe me, when you first start, you've basically got nothing. You can afford a pistol, and that's probably about it. Or you could buy a lone grenade and really see how your luck goes. Now, as you win rounds, or as your team wins rounds, or you kill enemies, or you survive rounds, you'll gain more money for the next round to spend on better weapons. So there is a real streak of competitiveness here, because sometimes you're going to be on round 3 and you still have a pistol, but someone out there has got an assault rifle or a 50 caliber sniper rifle. So I think this is something that in certain modes can make people play a lot more competitively and be a lot more reserved in the way that they play, because you don't want to die, because you don't want to lose your cash. You want the most cash you can have for the next round to have the better weapons to give your team a better chance of winning. And here we are at TTT mode. I don't even know where to begin with this mode because it can be so crazy. But let's start with the obvious. What are the rules here? So, TTT mode. You start off in a main lobby with all other players. You can pick your skins because that is just something that Pavlov lets you do in most game modes. You can pick from a farmer, a clown, a terrorist, a counter-terrorist, and so on and so on. While you're in the lobby selecting your skin, every single player privately will be informed via a message on the screen whether they're innocent, traitor, or detective.
It's gonna have to be correct. If you don't have a big
traitor, detective.
If you are told you're innocent or guilty, these are self-explanatory explanations here. If your role within the match that's coming is the detective, there will only ever be one of you. You start with some extras above everyone else. You start with a taser gun and you start with a scanner. Now, this scanner can be used to scan other players to tell if those players are innocent or traitors. Now, there is a specific feature to the scanner that I'll talk about in a minute. The objective of this whole thing is for each player to find the traitors and kill them. That's it. That's how you win. Now, there will only ever be 2 traitors in any game. You can have up to 10 people in a game, so you've got 2 people out of those 10 that are guilty. What makes this difficult is you don't just know that someone's a traitor. The game will display everybody as innocent except the detective, who will be displayed as detective. The aim here is to find out who is the traitor. Now, I'm sure you're thinking, well, how would you even identify the traitor? The one person who can really narrow it down is the detective. He can scan every single player and it will tell them if someone is a traitor. But it's not that simple. A traitor will only be displayed by that scanner as a traitor after the first 30 seconds after they kill an innocent person. So if a traitor manages to corner someone innocent, kills them, the detective runs over and scans them 32 seconds later, it will still say that they're innocent even though they're not. And that's how it works. Seems simple enough, it seems straightforward, but when you mix a lot of people of varying shapes, sizes, classes, ethnicities, and countries into a game where no one can trust anybody because you know there are traitors in the group, you get some of the most wild VR rounds of your entire life.
Good shot! Nice shot!
That's the power of the revolver right here. That's the power of a revolver, baby.
Revolver. Then they'll teach you how to make the best sushi ever. Okay. Okay. First, you need your lovely specimen, as you do. First, you need to cut it. The curiosity cash. Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna kill that cat real quick, alright? Okay.
Jeep, jeep. Alright, that poop game, definitely. I'm gonna play Russian roulette now. You wanna play?
Whoa, no! Don't do it. He pulled the grenade, run. He pulled the grenade!
Oh, alright. Wow.
You actually... What the...
Now what you've seen there is just from me capturing footage for this review. I played this a lot in my spare time, and I've seen even crazier stuff than that. What makes this such a great game mode, apart from the fact that the mode is unique, it's how psychologically unique that this is. So when you start every match, everyone tries to meet up in the same place pretty much, so you can all get in a group and start to figure out who the hell is who and what is going on. Now psychologically, this is like watching a great TV show. I feel like sitting back in an armchair and getting some popcorn out and just watching the show. Because when these rounds begin, people's mistrust and insecurities really start to show almost instantaneously. When they know that no one around them can be trusted except the detective, because they know that they're on their side if you're innocent, you'll see a lot of people on edge instantly watching every player. Even when a player moves their hand close to their hip like they look like they might be going for a gun, people start kicking off. It starts going mental. Everyone's like, whoa, what's this? What's going on? What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? It's like the phrase goes, a person is smart, but people are stupid. When one person in this group starts to freak out about something, the rest of the group start to freak out, and then it all just becomes pandemonium. But I think this is amazing. It makes it very tense. It makes it very, very interesting. I can truly say, people say this about games, like, oh, you never know what each match is going to be like, you never, it's always different every time, but TTT is different every single time. There's so many variables and so many different things, especially because each new round you get a new label, so you might be detective one round, but you're traitor the next, you're innocent the next, you're innocent again and again and again. Now speaking of purchasing weapons, you don't just start off TTT with a small amount of money and then that's basically it, because otherwise the round would always be pistols and that would be it. The rounds do have a time limit. Now within certain points of this time limit that are random, crates will appear just like they do in Pavlov Zombies. Crates will appear, they'll have various weapons on top, from pistols to shotguns to rifles, you name it, it will have everything. And then it becomes a run for who can get the better weapons the fastest. But that just adds even more tension to proceedings, because all of a sudden you don't know if it's the traitor who's got the automatic shotgun or whether it's someone who's innocent. It makes things very difficult when 4 people suddenly become armed as all hell in a round where you can't trust anyone. And I will tell you, there is no trust here. I've never been in a round where there's trust. Even when I've seen groups of friends join a TTT round, there is instantly no trust, maybe even less trust between friends. One of the other unique features of Pavlov Shack is that it has mod support. Now when I say mod support, it's not crazy, it's your maps, really. But there are a lot of maps out there that you can download for this, even on the Quest and Quest 2, not to mention PCVR, and they've got some great maps. Obviously, when it comes to zombies, people have recreated the Call of Duty Zombies maps. Of course, how could you not do that? It's obvious. But there are other really fun levels as well. Like there's someone has made a McDonald's, which is a hilarious level. There's a crack den level. People have gone to town. Also, speaking of towns, there's Nuketown as well. Of course, what a classic. There's lots to do here. There's lots to keep you coming back to Pavlov to play it over and over and over again. And it only gets more interesting the more maps you see. I'm still waiting for the Helm's Deep zombie mode because everybody does that. Left 4 Dead, that was amazing on Left 4 Dead and Left 4 Dead 2. So I'm really got my fingers crossed on that one. But also slightly annoying is this game is full of kids. If you want to see where the younger generation on the Oculus Quest are, it's Pavlov. It's always Pavlov. Every lobby that you go into will be 90% children, ranging from ages I can't even comprehend using a VR headset, all the way up to, teenagers. What is nice is, with VR, everything is true to scale most of the time, so you can tell when someone is a child because they're basically only up to about your knees. But like I said in my Zombies review, whilst this game is full of children, people get very annoyed at them for that, for messing around and not taking things seriously, as adults like myself normally take things a bit more seriously because this is a huge leap in technology and it's something that we've been waiting for since we were kids. And to have it in our lifetime, it feels lucky. It feels, like a real bonus for life, honestly. But these kids are young. And just like we did when we were playing the PS2 or PC during the PS2 era, or even PS3, we would just go on, have a laugh with our mates, play Call of Duty online, have a laugh, or even single player games back then. You just mess around and have a giggle because that's what you did and it was fun. Whilst I'm just a jealous old man of these kids, at the end of the day, the Quest and PCVR right now in their age group, this is their PS2 and their PS3. They're here to have a laugh and have some fun, and that's it. They're not here to take it seriously because they don't know how ridiculously awesome this really is. And I see people kicking off and shouting at children in a video game because that's cool, telling them off for messing around and having a laugh with other kids on the server or their friends. And at the end of the day, you can't have a go at them for that. Everyone was the same when they were younger, and this is just their version of that. I've seen a lot of people not leave lobbies even though they're very annoyed at having children in there. And at the end of the day, you just have to suck it up and move along. I've been in lobbies that are full of children. I've been in lobbies without any children. It's rare to find one where it's all adults, but it does happen. You just need to sort of surf around your lobbies or play with friends in a party. Lord knows the Quest now accommodates parties moving through games together, so there's really no excuse to start kicking off. At the end of the day, you'll see in a lot of servers where there's a lot of kids and a few adults, normally the adults will just stay back and just watch the kids kind of argue it out, especially in TTT mode where you can see children are trying to be smart and psychological about things, but it's just so obvious what's going on, and it can just be a real laugh to stand back and just sort of watch the carnage happen while you're just having a look. Sometimes it turns this game, being an observer, to be more interested than actually taking part in the round, especially on TTT mode. So I just wanted to get that out the way because that is something you're going to run into without a doubt. If you play this game for more than an hour and don't run into kids or a bunch of kids, then somehow you have broken the matrix, my friend. And so that is the very long-winded way of saying that this game is light, breezy, and it's for fun. If you want to play a serious shooter, go find Onward and go to Contractors because this is not the game for you. Unless you want to try some really competitive search and destroy, which also isn't easy to find, but you've got more chance of that than going to TTT mode or your deathmatch, your team deathmatch, your gun game, and finding mature players that will take it seriously. Well, it looks like that's it for what I intended to be a bit of a brief look at Pavlov Shack, which really turned into a lot more than that. Now, if you have made it this far into the video, please drop a comment down below and let me know if I'm just rambling or whether I'm actually giving you something of substance while I'm talking in reviews for this long, because I always set out to do something pretty brief, 10 minutes or so, just to give you a rough idea of what you're looking at, but it always doubles or even triples in time other than that. So we come to the conclusion that Pavlov is more of your light-hearted, comedic kind of shooter where you go on, have a laugh, mess around with your friends, with people that you meet online, and just kind of have a laugh and have a good time. You can do a bit of competitive stuff, but it's not going to attract real hardcore sort of VR shooter players. And I think that audience for Pavlov is great because we have Onward, we have Contractors, we have games that take the shooters very seriously. And Pavlov fills that gap, that niche in the market of something to just play, to have a laugh and have some fun with. The weapons, they don't feel great, if I'm honest. It's not something I went over in the full review because I could have just gone on for 10 minutes on its own about how the weapons feel individually. The pistols feel like garbage. The rifles don't really have much weight to them. For me personally, I just can't get on with the weapons, if I'm quite honest. They just don't feel right to me. They don't feel like they do in Onward. They don't feel especially like they do in Contractors. But I think that's personal taste. That's why I didn't really go into it. But at the end of the day, they could be patched. It all could be tweaked and it could all feel a hell of a lot different when there's a full release on the Oculus Quest store. I was in games where they had a multitude of people from different cultures and countries. One game I played had me, some people from the USA, someone from Austria, someone from Germany, someone from Russia. There was even somebody French, I think, in there as well. All these nationalities that outside of games probably, you know, aren't the best of friends, but we all just had a great laugh over a common thing that we were doing. And it was great fun. We all had a great laugh. And a lot of the clips that you saw in the review are from that match. It's good fun. I think this game helps bring people together just to have a good time. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that's a real boundary breaker and something unique to Pavlov. Anyway, I am a fan of Pavlov. It is good fun. It's just the weapons just don't do it for me, unfortunately. But this is life. Like I say, it could be patched and it could get sorted out by the time there's a full release. And that's it. I am done rambling, I promise. If you like the video, drop me a like. If you want to see more content from the channel, because I've got a lot more coming, click the subscribe button down below. I'd love to have you and hear your feedback on the videos that I'm doing at the moment. I love interacting with all of you guys. It really is great fun for me and one of the reasons why I keep pushing harder to do this. So next week, we're going to do it. We're going to do the big boy. We're going to tackle Onward. Now, my Contractors review is pretty long, and I love that game. Pavlov review is probably just about as long, to be honest, and it's all right. But Onward was a real big daddy in the Oculus universe here, and I am going to get into it. I'm going to deep dive into this game and talk about everything that I possibly can think of about it. If you're on the fence about buying it, hopefully it'll sway you. If you don't know anything about Onward, you're going to learn everything that you need to know. And that covers everything, so I'll see you all next week for the big one.
No, I'm fucking with you on purpose. I shot above you on purpose, I swear. I don't know games. There's a point where I don't know. Whoa! Oh my god!